Okay, moving on to question 4, 4A. 8% is the same as 8 divided by 100. So if I were to do a long division here, I can say that 100 goes into 8 0 times. I add 1 decimal point, line up the decimal point. 100 goes into 80 0 times. So I need to add an extra 0. Finally, 100 goes into 800. That's 100 goes into 800 is 8 times. 100 times 8 is 800. So the answer is 0.08. Now, of course, the shortcut way is we just move the decimal point, right? Right now it's 8.0%. So I can move the decimal point to the left twice because there are not enough decimal places for me to move. So I add an extra 0 over there. And now I can move this decimal point 2 over, 1, 2. So the new decimal point will be there. So this equals to 0.08, right? So that's just a quick method of doing percentage problem, and you are supposed to know that too. So for the next most of the questions in question 4, I'm just going to stick with the new method, the shortcut way of doing these questions. So 60%, this is just 60.0. I'm going to add extra zeros here for me to move the decimal points. So 1, 2, the new decimal point should be there. So I have 1 too many zeros, so this is just 0.6. That's it. The other 0 doesn't really matter. If I write 0.6000, this is the same as 0.6. Yeah, these 0 are meaningless. Okay, and then C, 700%. Same idea, this is 700.0. I move the decimal point twice to the left, and I get 7.0. You know, even if I write the other 0, it will just be 7. D, 100%. This is 100.0. I move the decimal point 2 to the left, and I get 1.000, which is just 1. E, 205%. This is 205.0. Move the decimal point 2 to the left, and we get 2.050. So again, the ending 0 doesn't really mean anything, so normally we just don't write that out. F, 82 and 9 over 10%. So if you know that 9 over 10 is just 0.9, you can say that this is 82.9%. And then now we can move the decimal point 2 to the left, 1, 2. So this becomes 0.829. If you didn't know 9 over 10 is 0.9, then you would just have to do a long division here. So 10 goes into 9 0 times, and then 10 times 9 is 90. Line up the decimal point. That's why it's 82.9. G, 4 and 2/5%. Same idea. 4 and 2/5. 2/5 is just 0.4. And I have done you can get 0.4 just by doing a long division, just 2 divided by 5. 5 goes into 2 0 times. Add up 0.0, line up the decimal point, 5 times 4 is 20. Okay, and then now we can move the decimal point 2 to the left. So I need to add some extra 0, 1, 2. So my answer is 0.044. H, 0.032%. 0.032, add some more zeros. So now we can move the decimal point 2 to the left, 1, 2. And we get 0.00032. Now 3200%. So this is 3200.0, and then we move the decimal point 2 to the left, 1, 2. We get 32.000, which is just 32. J, 0.2%. Same idea, just add 2 extra 0 and then move the decimal point 2 to the left, 1, 2, and we get 0.002. Okay. $32 and 3/8 is the same as 32 and so 32.375. 3/8 is just 0.375. So I've kind of memorized these fractions already. But you can also do a long division here. 8 goes into 3 0 times. 8 times 3 is 24. And then we subtract. 30 minus 24 is 6. And extra 0, bring it down. 8 times 7 is 56. And then subtract, we get 4. And another 0, bring it down. 8 times 5 is 40. So this is why 3/8 is 0.375. We can move the decimal places 2 to the left, 1, 2, and extra 0. But then it's 0.32375. L 100/3%. So this one I would just divide it. This is 100/3 divided by 100%. I mean, for percentage to decimal, we would just divide by 100. So that's 100/3 times 1/100. We can cross that out and we got 1/3. You probably already know 1/3 is just 0.3 repeating. If you didn't know, then you have to do a long division. This is 1 divided by 3. 3 goes into 1 0 times. And then add up 0.03, line up the decimal places. 3 times 3 is 9. We subtract that, we get 1. Add an extra 0, bring it down. And you will see 3 times 3 is 9 again. So the 3 just keeps on going, right? You get 0.33, and then the next one will also be 3. That's why it's 0.3 repeating. And 1/3%. So again, I would just divide this. 1/3 divided by 100/1. This is 1/3 times 1/100, and we got 1/300. And now we need to do a long division. 300 goes into 1 0 times, goes into 10 0 times, goes into 100 0 times, and goes into 1000 3 times. We subtract them, we are back to 100. So because this is exactly the same question from the very beginning, right? In the very beginning, we also have this, well, it was 1 divided by 300 actually. Okay, so let me continue here. So add an extra 0, bring it down. 300 times 3 is 900. So we can also see that this 3 is going to repeat, right? If I add another 0, I'm going to get 3 again. So this will just be 0.003 repeating. And then n, 12.5/6%. This is 12.83 repeating percent. And then we can move the decimal point 2 to the left, 1, 2. So we get 0.1283 repeating. So again, I have memorized this one too. So the ones I have memorized, or most people would have memorized, is 1/2 is 0.5, 1/3 is 0.3 repeating, 1/4 is 0.25, 1/5 is 0.2, 1/6 is 0.16 repeating. So those are probably the ones that you want to know. 5, 6, I simply times that by 5. That's how I got 12.83 repeating. So I've simply times 0.16 repeating by 5. Okay, yeah, so that's the answer, 0.1283. If you didn't know, then you can just do a long division to convert that into a repeating decimal, the 0.83 repeating. And then O, 3 1/3%. Well, from earlier examples, we see that 1/3 is just 0.3 repeating. I can add extra 2 zeros and then move the decimal point to the left. we get 0.033 repeating. And P 8 and 7 over 2. I mean 2 over 7%. So need to convert the 2 over 7 into decimals. So 7 goes into 2 0 times, add a 0.0, line up the decimal point. 7 times 2 is 14. And extra 0, move it down 7 times 8 is 56. 4. And 0, move it down 7 times 5 is 35. Subtract, add a 0, move it down 7 times 7 is 49. Subtract, add extra 0 and move it down 7 times 1 is 7. Same idea, continue. 7 times 4 is 28. And we are finally back to 2 over 7. This is 2 divided by 7, right? And now we are back. We are back to 2 divided by 7 problem. So that's when I know that I can stop and this will just repeat. So this is 8.2, 8, 5, 7, 1, 4, repeating decimals, percent. To change it into decimals without the percentage, I add 2 extra 0 and I move the decimal point 2 to the left. I get 0.082857114. So this 287514 repeats. Okay, that's the end of question 4. I will see you in question 5.